Laneways are in Lismore's central business district, smack bang right in the middle of the main shopping block. Lismore's located in the far north coast of New South Wales. This area is one of the most beautiful places on earth. We have a strong creative culture and many and diverse creative artists and knowledge workers. Lismore has a rapidly developing innovative economy. Welcome to the Lismore Laneways Revitalisation Project, where we aim to recreate this precinct into a thriving artistic and cultural mecca. The Laneways project will create a precinct where community creators want to be. And why would they want to be here? Because they're involved in creating it. My name's Amber Hall, and in the next few moments I'd like to explain how we're approaching the revitalisation of Lismore's laneways. Let's take a quick trip and have a look at the current state of play. As you can see, the laneways currently look like the perfect environment to shoot a remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. Apart from two popular cafes located here, most of this area suffers from severe neglect. It's interesting to think that almost 90% of the local community uses this area as a shortcut between the four main streets. Over the past 12 months, I've spent a lot of time talking to people and businesses about the laneways. The overwhelming majority of people are excited about the idea of revitalising what is essentially the heart of the city. Lismore is a thriving and developing regional city. There are many projects underway, such as the Wilson's Riverbank project. It's about developing the riverbank for dining, outdoor entertainment and family fun days. Planning years ago saw buildings backed onto the riverside. Nowadays we're wanting to face the river, and the Riverbank project looks at doing exactly this. It's included a levee in order to make the CBD safer in times of flood. The Centre for Creative Enterprise is a major development that will house the regional museum and art gallery, the library, the tourist information centre, artists in residence and more. This is another major development occurring in Lismore which has massive support from the local community. The main streets are also undergoing a major facelift. They're becoming more open, more shaded, more shopper-friendly and more attractive. Magellan Street is the most shaded and has two outdoor cafes. Molesworth Street is the busiest and has a number of outdoor cafes located in it. Woodlark and Keene Streets are the next to be revitalised. Property owners are taking the initiative and revamping their buildings even before council starts the road. Not far from the CBD is Lismore Square. It's about to undergo expansion, including more car parking and specialty shops. All of these projects complement each other in theming, artistic integrity, local support and strengthening business. The Laneways Revitalisation Project aims to realise the potential of our laneways, our businesses and our creative community. We're in a unique position here, for our laneway network is perfectly framed within four main streets of the CBD, like a picture waiting to be painted. We've spoken to many people regarding the Laneways project. Here's what some local leaders have to say about it.
Well, Amber, I believe that this revitalisation project will have a tremendous effect on the economy here in Lismore, not only the inner CBD but the entire Lismore area.
How could this project create new opportunities for businesses?
I envisage a lot of new shops popping up in this area here. First of all, filling up the empty shops which are now in the arcades and in the laneways. Lismore should become known as a town where of a beautiful inner precinct, okay, which has with a variety of attractions, delightful shops, galleries, antique shops, street markets. This at the end will reflect the culture of the Lismore people.
As a business situated right in the precinct of this inner CBD revitalisation project, how do you think this project's going to help revitalise your business?
It's going to make a big difference. People will want to visit here, come in and take part in what's going on in the streets.
A community group recently painted this mural. Let's see what a local Laneways restaurateur has to say about its impact on his business. So Karen, can you tell me what sort of feedback have you had with these two murals here on Nesbitt Lane?
Well, every day, various times we're in and out of here, and the amount of people who you see just coming up the laneway just to have a look at the walls and what's been done here, it's I gather it hasn't been done too long ago, and the amount of people who just comment on it it's phenomenal. They love it. It's it just brings a bit of interest into the laneways, really.
How do you feel that the inner CBD revitalisation project is going to help your business?
I think it'll help every business in the area, just to bring more people back downtown, the locals and tourists alike. We don't depend on tourists, but a lot of other businesses do.
How do you think this revitalisation project is going to help those struggling arcades?
It's going to make people have a purpose for going there. At the moment they don't lead anywhere. There's nothing for them to do at the end of it. So I think to have an art gallery there, it's for people to say, oh, we'll go and have a look at that, take the family, take the friends. But I think what will happen too is there's a lot of empty shops around that area. I think this whole thing would revitalise the area, the shops would fill up, so there'd be maybe arts and crafts, things would happen, that there'd be more need and purpose for going in that area. So it'll all work together and sort of unite into the heart of the town, so that's brilliant.
Why do you think this project is important for Lismore?
Well, I think for a start, the laneways themselves certainly need work, and I think Council's very well aware of that. The roadways need redoing, the drainage systems need looking at to see if they're still doing the job that they're supposed to do. So I think that's probably one of the important things that should be done first. But of course, once that's done, then you've got the opportunity then to look at doing whatever else may be able to be done to entice people to come into our laneways, and that would include things like murals and perhaps the various arcades opening onto the laneways, hopefully having more tenants and just doing up their buildings perhaps at that end. To all of these things combined, I think would help to make our laneways much more attractive.
There are 6 arcades leading from the main streets. How do you think the Laneways project is going to help those struggling arcades?
Well, I think if the laneways were revised in a way that they could attract people to come there, it would certainly help the arcades and help them to get tenants, and that would be a major attraction, I think. But getting something to get the tourists or the people to come and have a look in the laneways is, of course, the big question, how you do that. And I suppose murals is probably one of the obvious answers.
It's that old town scenario of riverbank, trade circulated around the river. Lismore has that history there and heritage of a river-based economy. It started on the river. Everything came to Lismore through that mode of transport. Those days are gone. But because the CBD, the heart of the city, is still here down on the river, we've got these laneways immediately adjacent to the CBD, or as part of the CBD, which I suppose have been neglected for a while in recent times. The 70s, the 80s, it was shopping malls, shopping centres. I think whilst they serve their purpose, people want to get back to some of those more traditional, more laid-back, casual way of doing business and relaxing. And Lismore's got the scene set for that. These laneways have got the attributes that could, when developed appropriately or in harmony with that old style, could be turned into something that just fits that mould, and it'll be unique. There's nothing like that in this part of the world, so it's got to be an asset for Lismore, and both the council, the community and all the locals are right behind it, because I think they can see the potential.
What is it about the laneways that makes it a hotspot for revitalisation?
I think it has a lot of potential. Lanes are a feeder from the main block area, the main street areas, and they're a natural feeder, and they're been undervalued for many years. They're used for car parking, as you can see on my right hand side here, but the potential for other businesses and people generating businesses is quite high.
What do you think the inner CBD requires structurally?
Structurally, I think it's got the potential already. You require shade and sails which are waterproof, so people can seat in inclement weather, etc., in sunny weather, so they're not going to get burnt. People will not sit out in the, say, Magellan Arcade area or the Magellan Street area out there because it's too hot. And the trees are making a big difference to that. They're providing shade, so you really do require shade, and when it's wet, some sort of covering to protect them. And that way they'll use the streets.
As a councillor, what does this project actually mean for Lismore?
Well, I think it means recreating itself, and that's something it certainly really needs to do, because it's very clear that whilst we are a regional centre, and particularly in terms of business and the university and the public health system, the whole health area, we really are going to be struggling to have something that's more unique than just a regional centre to bring people to Lismore. And that's what I think all of these 3 projects are really about: the Riverbank, the Laneways project and the CBD, plus the Art and the Heart. I think it will bring people here, I think it will bring tourists, I think it will bring businesses, because if you look at, for example, the main reasons why businesses decide to relocate or to locate in an area, they're not just looking at what's the population. They're looking at locating their staff here, and so they're looking at things like cultural events, they're looking at the amenity of the place, they're looking at something that's going to add on to their employees' lives and therefore make them happier people.
A stakeholder workshop identified ways to develop these visions into working strategies. A public forum verified that the ideas and visions were cohesive and relevant to the local community. We involved a number of guest speakers, including Ray Sargent, traffic engineer, and Robert Prestopino, a town revitalising consultant.
Okay, as Amber said, my role tonight is to talk about, I suppose, some of the principles and ways that we've learnt through many projects and other locations on what works and what doesn't when you approach a revitalisation project in a town centre. For any town centre to have effectively that 100-metre block encompass a laneway system, now it's framed in that square block as Ray showed with those comparisons, that's very unusual. What you have here is in some ways a fantastic framework. You've got the bones of something that any other community I've worked for would absolutely kill to have as a starting point. You've got effectively one large block that the council's already starting its improvements around the edges, very active. That in itself frames the centre. So if you're talking about creating a destination and a memory, the shape of your centre is already the right shape. And that, when we come to do projects, you only can work with what you've got. And some communities are really really a bad deal for the original layout of the town. This layout is quite amazing.
We've developed a concept plan that has full support of the local Chamber of Commerce, known as Lismore Unlimited Opportunities. Also has full support of the Lismore City Council, local businesses and property owners, local schools, TAFE, the university, the wider community and state government agencies. There are myriad investment opportunities here in Lismore, many of which include developing artistic and cultural precincts that will enhance business and tourism, thereby increasing the rate of return. So there we have it, the beginnings of a major project that holds innovation as the central key component to its development. For more information, check out www.luo.com or simply give Lismore City Council a call.